Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Emergence of Being. And today we're talking all about money tips, not just the metaphysical, because I have like 10 years in the financial services industry. So we can actually talk about the practical, like money management things, as well as the metaphysical. How do I attract and create more of money in my life? And of course, I'm here with Dr. K. And
Hello.
if you're watching on replay, please take a moment and share this video. And I just remembered I had to hit go live on Instagram. So there we go. Now we're live on Instagram too. So welcome, welcome, welcome. For the people on Instagram that might have missed it, we're talking today all about money, money tips, and the metaphysical application of money, as well as more just like the practical money management, because they really go hand in hand. You could be as abundant, you could be like, bringing in millions of dollars, but if your money management isn't there, it doesn't matter how much money you can create, you'll always be in poverty. And that's kind of like what spawned this entire conversation last week, was like talking about Dave Ramsey, where like 80% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. And who's really poor? The people in another country that don't have things but have time for themselves and freedom and autonomy and authenticity, or us, where you work, 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 and barely put groceries on the table. So like, what is really the poverty? Uh, Poverty. Anyway, you get it.
We'll talk about all ends poverty consciousness. I am not the financial specialist. However, Hank is. This way. This
Well, well, let's clarify. I am not a financial advisor, though I do have over 10 years in the financial
disclaimer.
services industry. I have done everything from customer service, collections, underwriting, loan processing, workout programs, you name it, I've probably done it. Uh, so I do have a good base, and also my degree. I actually went to school, believe it or not, and my degree is in business management, with a focus in management and marketing, or in business administration, I should say. I have a BSBA, and worked great because it really taught me critical thinking skills. And had I not that, being a Pisces, self-employed, I would have totally exploded, imploded all over the place. But because I have that background, I kind of figure out my way through it all. So, and that's what we're here to help you out with today. But please ask questions, because it's always great when you ask questions. I'm going to take a moment and share this video to the
Yeah.
Facebook group.
Technical things. Yeah. And we will talk everything about money because there's two ends of the spectrum. You can't just be woo woo la la land and just sit there and meditate and hope that somebody shows up on your doorstep with $10,000. You do have to move towards the money and take action towards the money, and all the places that we lie to ourselves around the money, and all the interesting pieces around that really need to be looked at all angles if you're going to have this wonderful handle on money. Where should do you want me to just keep talking, Hank, or do you want to start somewhere
No,
specific? It does not matter.
well, well, you can start. The one thing I would say as we begin with all this is recognize that money and abundance are two separate things. The energy of money is separate from abundance. Bashar has a wonderful definition of abundance: the ability to do what you need to do when you need to do it. And someone could be dirt poor, but go through life and have everything they ever actually needed and wanted. And so like, so money and abundance, money is a tool, money is an energy, and helping to separate that out. And then and really what we're going to talk a lot about today too is belief systems, because it's your belief systems that really foobar everything. You might have a concept of like anything's possible, but what's your actual belief and limitations around money and abundance and worth and things? So it really comes down to your underlying sponsoring thoughts around it all. So
Totally. So
yeah.
I think the best place to start is, as Hank mentioned, abundance. When we think of abundance, we automatically go to, I don't have enough money, or et cetera, et cetera. Abundance is having water, having a roof over your head, having health. Abundance comes in many, many formats, yet we forget about that because we get this tunnel vision of, well, I don't have enough in my bank account. So that's one thing we want to touch on. And the secondarily, as we mentioned, money is an energy. It is a green piece of paper that we circulate around all over the place. And we get really fixated on, I don't have enough money. The other things we segued into this is, where do we lie to ourselves? I don't have enough money. Is that true? I don't have any money is one of the common things I hear. I am poor, I am destitute right now. Okay, so you mean to tell me when we say I don't have the money, do you have a dollar? $2.50 in your wallet? Do you have 3 pennies in your wallet? You have money. And we talked about the compounding effect of a penny can grow into millions. But you have to understand the energy around all of that, as well as being practical and not going, well, since it's just all energy, I'm just going to go spend and such. So there's so many parts and pieces to money, manifesting money, understanding how money circulates, and all the things that we don't think about at all, and how we really circulate money in a collective consciousness way, yet we fixate on staring at our bank account and what is not there in our eyes.
Yeah,
In our
well, and part of that is just a fragmentation from such a young age that I don't have enough now, but I will eventually. But eventually never comes because no, wherever you get to, you're always looking 4 steps ahead from where you're at. Like I'm graduating college and I need the house right now, and we learn to get instant gratification through debt and through debt financing. And there's good application of debt, don't get me wrong, because that's how rich people make money. They finance the house that they're then renting out or leveraging or whatnot. But then there's also like you're financing like your McDonald's Happy Meal. And in that case, like as soon as you put that on your card, whatever your interest rate is from that day, because they charge interest daily. They bill it monthly, but they charge it daily. From the second you buy that, every single day, the clock is ticking and actually costing you more. So like it's because you were fragmenting out. I don't have enough money now, so I'm fragmenting the future when I do. And in the meantime, I have this trickle effect draining on me. And then all those trickle effects build up, and the next thing you know, you're at a crossroads where now you've created your own prison in a sense. So you've created exactly what you said was true when it wasn't true to begin with, and then it really takes a whole mindset shift to kind of shift out of that and the willingness
yeah,
to look at it. Sorry.
Yes, that too. So there's so much around this. It could be a multiple part series. But Stuart Weil has a wonderful book on the magic of money and understanding money and all these aspects of it that we don't even look at. And the other thing around money is we have these past belief systems. Maybe we came from poverty. Maybe it's all around how we perceived money when we were younger. Was it like, we don't have enough, we don't have enough, we don't have enough? Then you've imprinted that. And the nervous system then responds to those beliefs. And it's a lot of dysregulation when we get nervous, when we overspend, when we feel like we don't have enough, so we spend more. All these things that start happening around money create this response that's almost is a dysregulation in our nervous system around that. The fear, the tension that happens. Yet we fixate so much around money, and it is simply an energy that circulates that needs to be managed, just like all the other energies that you have.
Yeah, very good. And let us know what your questions are if you have anything specific. I think one of the first things to start at is like where have you been a belief thief around money? And just think about if anybody who's a parent, or everybody's been a kid. So at one point you've been a kid and you've had parents. So like everybody should be able to relate to this from one side or the other. Child asks for something and the parent just wants to say no. So they say, and then so they disempower themselves by saying, "Oh, we can't afford that," but they totally could. This happens a lot, and so like now you have started to entrain. Well, we don't have enough. You don't have enough, and if you can't have something, it means you don't have enough. Where maybe it was just like no, maybe so like really standing in your power about what is really a benefit to you, and then not making excuses. I'm going to want something just so I can say I can't afford it and reinforce my negative belief system. Like I totally want to go to Antarctica and hike. I don't want to hike in Antarctica. I don't. But but just like maybe like what kind of things are you pretending that you want just so you can continue the mindset and the cycle of not being able to afford something and justify that?
Yeah, this is such a loaded topic in so many ways. Uh, Avoiding saying I can't afford. The universe doesn't say I can't afford. More like I'm choosing not to do this, or this is not in my budget, because technically you can afford. You can get a loan, you can find ways. May put you in debt, but everybody can afford. But it's another lie that we tell ourselves that we can't afford. There's multiple millions of ways for you to make money but pulling it into your container and keeping it there is.
Not sure if I froze or she froze. We'll find out.
I froze there for a second. So it's a
Okay.
whole other story of pulling it in to your container. So the statistics show that many people that win the lottery don't hold on to that money for very long because they already come from a belief system of I don't have enough, and somehow they get it in, and before you know it, it is gone. Their money container. We all have money containers, and you can scan your money container. I'm not going to teach the whole scanning thing here, but feeling what is my money container? How big is it? How small is it? You can scan other people's money containers. And the goal is to make your money container bigger so that you can hold on to that energy when it does come in. And there's processes to that. But when we have these belief systems of I don't have enough, and it's always fluctuating, I can't afford, these are things that are often imprinted from our childhood. So you'll find people that may have become quite wealthy, but somehow hang on to that and don't circulate. The thing about money that we have to understand is it has to be in constant circulation. You can't, it's like when you take a deep breath in, at some point you got to let it out. The flow of money is the same way. If you accumulate it all in your bank account and you never touch it, we were talking about Ebenezer Scrooge and the Christmas Carol story,
Yep.
how he hoarded all of that, but he never gave out, and so he was miserable. So money is connected to your health. Money is connected to your well-being. If you have a money problem, you usually have a health problem, because if you can't understand that there's a circulation of this energy, then you're withholding a lot of good from yourself with balance, of course.
Right, because with the Ebenezer Scrooge analogy, he had more money than God. I mean, just making that analogy. But like, if he had died and not had a change of heart, what type of life would he have lived? He would have never known any different had he not had that interrupt or that in intervention, if you will. So, like, someone could have all the money, but they still have a shallow life, or someone could have no money and have a very full life. So, like, what is money anyway, rather than this energy that's looked at as a vehicle to accomplish things? But what if you took one step back and what is it you really want to manifest? And if it's a new car, what if you just said, universe, bring me a car? What if it can come to you without the need for money? And money is like one little tool, because we've agreed in this culture that we're going to exchange money for certain things, like your electric bill. Like, they probably aren't going to just give you free electric. So there is a need for money, but then also, like, expanding beyond that, that money is more, receiving is more than just the currency that we look at that we call money.
Right, right. And where do we invest in other things but not in ourselves? So there's so many of this. Investing in yourself is you are the biggest project in this lifetime. And if you can do things to help yourself so you move forward, then you will get more money. But if you refuse the self-love for self, and self-care, and investing in something that you know could potentially, or you know in your heart is pinching you to say, hey, if I do this, if I invest in this business, or if I take the loan out for the business, I may, in a year or two, I may be vested in a whole different way, yet saying I'm going to stay in this same spot. So there's so many different parts of this that we can look at, yet we charge McDonald's and all these things are actually detrimental to our health, which is fun. Another funny piece. How many things do we spend our monetary energy on that are actually deteriorating us and not helping us? So that's a problem too.
Yeah. And one thing that I'm being inspired to mention is that look at whatever you have coming in now, and just for a moment, look at it as a closed ecosystem, because there's a universal law that you need to learn to use what you have before you receive more. And if you're making $100,000 a year, let's just make a claim, and maybe have some assets where there's a band where that can change or whatever, but you're running at a 60,000 year deficit. It doesn't matter how much more money you make, you would end up, like you said, like the millionaire goes bankrupt again, or they end up having no money after a couple of years because they haven't figured out how to have that flow balance out. But if you can flow with what you have now you can, to use marketing terms, scale up. What you did is working. The marketing campaign is working. For every dollar you spend, or for every $100 you spend, you're getting $1,000 person coming into your pipeline, or whatever the case is. Now, once you know that something's working, now you can scale up. You can ask the universe for more, and like look at how else you can receive. But like, really learn to use what you have. And this doesn't apply just to money, like healing modalities and everything else. Like if you're constantly bringing in more and you haven't let the cream settle to the top from your efforts, if you haven't allowed the benefit to come to you, but you're always skipping to the next thing, you may always be spread so thin that nothing really flourishes. And it's really like take the moment and learn to use what you have.
Totally. That I just had another thought and it went poof.
Poof. Well,
um,
well, we could say Magic Mike's tuning in. He's saying a Nike Kawaii, which means thank you. He loves you, and he's like, it's this kind of one of the comments is out of context, but now he's saying it's a wonderful life. Thank you for being here, Mike. I see a lot of people watching. If you have questions, feel free. I see people on Instagram, and there's one person that's watching on Instagram that reminds me of this beautiful story where they just went somewhere on a whim. They trusted because like one of the things that they talk about like conversations with God is like the true prayer is a prayer of supplication, a thanks um that it's already so. And if you have a calling and you just know that you need to do something and you start walking like like there's a difference between knowing the path and walking the path. You just start walking the path. This person went to Peru, and or maybe it was just Bolivia, but they ended going to Peru too, and then they went to Texas and they went to all these different places, and everything just rolled and opened up, and they had exactly what they needed when they needed it, and it became this beautiful dance with the universe of just trusting and knowing that whatever I need and really need today is going to be there. But they're in a natural flow and not buying into I have to have the modern day idea of what life looks like.
yeah, yeah. We have ideas in our heads of how things need to show up. I had a client who, we got him $150,000 back in the way of an employee that was causing a lot of problems in his business, creating lots of stress for everybody else. I'm like, that is an interruption of energy flow. And lo and behold, this event happened where he just did something and he fired him. I'm like, he's like, that just saved me $150,000. I'm like, magic. That is money back in your account that you are not spending. So sometimes we think, oh, I need more money. I need more money. And well, it's not showing up on my doorstep with a bag. That is, you're putting that's a big chunk of money back in your pocketbook. Sometimes you get a free car. Sometimes you get a free something else. The other thing is, Stuart Wilde talks about this. Don't ever refuse anything. If somebody, gives you the ugliest shirt, just say thank you and then gift that shirt to somebody else. If somebody gives you the ugliest vase, say thank you. Because when you say no thanks to somebody or to any help, that is obstructing the flow. You are being given something for what you've asked, because the universe doesn't look at it as a green piece of paper. It
Yep.
sees it as an energy. So when you are asking for something and somebody has given you something in return, maybe it's time, maybe it's free help. Like I have a wonderful friend who's an architect, and she's helped me so much with so many things. That is money, because she didn't charge me for any of that. That is a lot of money and time that she could have charged me for. So things like that, expand your mind to the ways that you are given beyond measure. I started writing things down on all the things I have been given in my life, and the list is long. And I think I talked about this exercise last time. Look at all the places that somebody has gifted their time to you, their efforts, that is priceless, that if you could have hired somebody to do that, and that could have cost you a lot in actual physical money, you're constantly being given, but we don't think about that. We just give very tunnel vision around, I don't have XYZ. And it's not to say you can't get XYZ, but be open to all the ways that it can arrive. Being open is a whole other part of this conversation.
And a part of it's just recognizing, and we have a common Instagram, which I'll bring up in just a moment. There was this one, when we talk about receiving and the importance of receiving, I remember this one sermon when I was growing up that really stuck with me. And it was about this guy who there was this flood coming and he prays to God, God save me, right? So he has this idea of God save me. And whatever that looks like to him is probably like getting beamed up with the light and like just teleported to safety or whatever. But because like people come to his house and they like, the flood's coming, you got to come with us. Like, nope, God's gonna save me. And the water keeps going up. Now he's on the second floor. A speedboat comes by. And they're like, sir, come with us. We can save you. Take you to safety. He's like, nope, God's gonna save me. Now he's on the roof, and a helicopter comes and puts down a ladder, and they say, climb up. We'll take you to safety. He's like, nope, I don't need that. God's gonna save me. The water increases and he drowns. And now he goes up and he sees God in heaven. He's like, "What's up? I had such faith you would save me." And God says, "I sent you two boats and a helicopter. What more could I do?" You have to be willing to receive what's sent. But we get so tripped up over the story or of how we think it's going to happen because we're comparing ourselves to someone else. Like if you go to a restaurant, maybe the goal is to manifest food, and whether you order a salad and they accidentally bring you a steak, you just got supplied. But
Yeah,
we get tripped up because of what came.
we do. So start being open to that perception. And I see that story in a
Oh,
different format time and time again. Uh, you're asking for help, you are putting that signal out there, and then somebody comes and somebody offers to help you in so many different ways, yet you say no.
yeah, yeah,
And no, because I can't afford it. Okay, well, we try
yeah,
to maneuver those numbers so you can. And sometimes you have to put the cart before the horse because you look at, wait a minute, this is an investment. And if I can clear out the crap that's going on in my life, I will feel freer, brighter, lighter so that I can be more vibrant to get that new job, to make more money, to feel healthier so that I can get back into the workspace. But you're right. We get so tripped up around, nope, I want it for
yeah.
yeah. If Hank has some other little tidbit, I'll move on to the next
Oh,
piece
oh
of.
no, 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 no. We had a question on Instagram, so we can
Okay,
we you can finish your thought. They're not going anywhere.
okay, free. We always go after things that are free, and I've seen this in all sorts of Facebook. People offer these little like, oh, it's $27 for a 5-day challenge, and I see all these comments like, I don't have any money. I wish this person would just offer free. I don't understand if they're trying to be helpful, because there's something about value. When you offer things for free, people don't show up. I've seen it time and time
Yeah,
again. So it's nominal to pay $10, $15, even $3, whatever, because when you invest something, you get that back 10 times fold. When
right,
you Another trick is tithing. Give more of what you want. If you need more money, then find an organization that speaks to your heart, that has helped you, whether that's your church, whether it's some sort of other organization. Give. If it's $10, $20, whatever you can, you will get that 10 times fold. This is taught all over the place. Tithing, you will bring it back to
yeah,
you. Yet people want everything for free. And I've done that too. It's like, well, I can't, but there's value when you
yeah.
invest and you put that energy out. Something does come back to you in a totally different way.
Right. And we've been conditioned. We hear free, like, oh, I got to get that. I used to be like on this whole coupon thing where I would get these coupons and I could go to the store. I could get a cart full of free stuff, literally, and none of the stuff I needed. It was all free. But how much of my time did I spend getting these things that I didn't need? And it's like it's free. You got to take that. And then the other thing is with the tithing, Access would teach you tithe to the church of you, honoring of you first. And if you're a business owner, your business, honoring your business first. And 10 cents of every dollar, 10% of everything made, you set aside as an honoring of you. And it starts to build and build and build. And you never spend that unless it's going to make you more. And so, like, you're investing in you because you're the common denominator in creating everything that you've created. And then charging what you're worth is another thing. Somebody I know who worked for a software company, they they went after an account and they quoted maybe like $10,000 or something like that, and they had like the top product. And a competitor them quoted like 10 times the amount, like $100,000. I'm just making up the numbers, and the other person got it even though they had the inferior product. Why? Because if I'm a reader and I'm a healer and I'm charging $200 for my time, and Dr. K's like, I have a buck, I'll charge you $1. Like people might say, well, she must not be any good. She's only charging $1. And
That's a
so,
statistic.
like, and there's exceptions to every rule, of course. Like there's times where I'm led to gift the session or things like that. But like if you, and Elaine, my teacher for mediumship, would say the same thing. Like you really have to understand that people are paying you for your time, not your gift. Like sometimes you'll gift you'll do something for free for somebody, but you're honoring your time. And if you don't honor your time, then you might be that reader that can only read 1 day a week, 1 day a month at a psychic fair, because you can only do it in your spare time. But if you charged for your time, you could be full time helping 10 times the amount of people.
Yeah.
You know, and that is,
There's
oop, go ahead.
and Yeah, go ahead. Finish your
Oh,
thought.
no, because that's a segue to the question. So, like, if you have a tangent for the, well, let me read the question, and you'll probably tie your thing right into it. But Alexander, who's the person we gave the example to, full disclosure, and and we should have him on. He could tell his story. We could have like a whole day where he could tell his story about how things just flowed around him, and it was amazing. But he said, "What are your thoughts on not manifesting for oneself, but instead manifesting the best and highest for the collective?" And supporting that, and it would support you back. So kind of we talk about shifting from the kingdom of me to the kingdom of we, and like the the, the space shift, you if you will, in abundance when you're looking at it from a collective standpoint. Does that tie into what you were going to say, or if not, just go with it
I
anyway?
don't know what it was, but I will answer that. It is a collective. So when you do something for somebody, you will get that in return as well, because you are benefiting somebody else. So one of my mentors, and I've heard this multiple places, one of the worst things you can do is shame, blame, point the finger at people. Wow, look, Johnny's making so much money. I can't believe it. You just wrote John a check, because when you energize and say, good for him, I'm so glad he's so successful, you are emitting an energy to the universe collectively, saying, I want others to be happy. I love when other people succeed. I love when my friends succeed who have really been working to build things and now they've gotten some massive deal. I love when good things happen to other people. So when you emit that energy, you are saying, hey, it can happen for me too, and thank you, versus poo-pooing somebody, or that lifestyle's not for me. Look at them, they're rich or famous. When you do that sort of thing, you're writing those people an energetic check. They're just going to get more, and you're going to get less. I know it's weird, but don't do it. So when you help other people manifest, you are energetically benefiting yourself too. When you help others, when you heal others, you are benefiting yourself too. It's all about energy. It is not the paper. It's not the paper. You go somewhere else and they don't have a green piece of paper. They have something else. So
Yep.
it is all about the energy flow, if you really understand that.
And it really comes down to mindset with that, because there could be two people going out and helping people in the world, and one person is doing it from the perspective, I'm going to do this, I'm going to get this back, and that expectation will squeeze the sponge, and you won't. It's like you're really going at it from the standpoint of, I'm helping this person because I know that they are me and I am them on some level. We are all drops or waves of the same ocean, and I'm doing it selflessly and wholeheartedly with no expectation of how this comes back to me. But if I'm helping people with the expectation, I'm helping you and you're going to give me $100, that expectation by itself pushes it away. Because what if I let go of that expectation, and that person was so touched by me helping them that 10 years later, I get a notice that this person put me in their will and I just inherited $5 million. And all of a sudden I'm like, oh my gosh, I never would have thought that. But if I had squeeze that expectation away, like, because I expected something, then that check might have been voided, that
Yeah.
I could have received. So it mindset, sponsoring thought is everything.
Don't do a tit for tat. Like, well, Hank and Dr. K said, if I do this, then I don't really want to do this, but they said it's going to come back to me. No, the intention, it will, and it may come in so many different ways. It may not be money that comes back to you, and it may be somebody else that helps you down the road. It's all a circulation.
Yeah.
So, but don't go with the intention of doing something because you're going to get something back. Know that somewhere I will be gifted, that I see this person that needs help, and somewhere I know I will be helped when I need. That's a loving heart, and doing it from the heart more so than with the strong intention of, somewhere I'm going to get something, so I'm going to do it. You're not really doing it from the heart. You're just doing it to be lazy. It's kind of like painting that lazy photo, that you don't want to do. So don't do the tit for tat thing.
Yeah.
So
There was another piece to that from Neil Donald Walsh's work. It's like the be do have model. Like when it's tit for tat, it's like I need to do the thing they call give money in order to get the thing back, in order to be the thing they call successful. Where really it's like be the energy of success first. And because it's your beingness happens first, and then the universe draws to you experiences with which you can demonstrate that beingness into the world. We have it backwards because we've been taught to be a human doing instead of human being, and I need to do the thing they call get a job, to have the money, to buy the house, to be secure. No, be secure first, and then the universe will give you a plethora of opportunities in order to express secureness in the world. But so like really, so if you are the thing they call helpful and selfless and whatever other adjectives you want to use, you're helping that person because that is your nature as a human being helping a fellow traveler, and with nothing else. I'm just being part of their story. Cool. And I know they're part of my story. I don't even have to say I know they're part of the story. I just know I'm in the flow of creation. And you even let go of the need to know that it's going to be taken care of. And you're really just in the flow then.
That's one of the, I think, the most challenging things in life is trusting that you will be provided for and that the universe has your back. Gabby Bernstein has a book on, I'm trying to remember the name of the book. I think it's The Universe Has Your Back. I want to say it's Tell, but she talks a lot about this and how we really just hang on because, like, what if we fall off the side of the cliff? You will be provided for. You have always been provided for. Very few people don't get caught somewhere. If you're falling off, you will get caught and you will be provided for. Very few people end up homeless, or if you do, it's very short period of time, or things can't stay in a certain state forever. So you have to know that and trust that and know that things will improve. But if you're being offered the help in front of you, yet you don't take it, you may not be offered that help again, or it will come again in a different way. But a lot of times I see people saying no all the time. And it's like that story, with God helping that guy that's sinking. God can't himself is not a being. He's an energy. He or she is an energy. God's an energy. But they can't come down from the sky and give you the hand and yank you up from the water. That energy has to flow through somebody in the way of a ship or a boat or somebody that comes along to help you. Money also flows through people. God, universe is the source of your supply, not people, not your job, not everything else. It comes down through people that come to you for your services, or however way that happens. Somebody gives you the money, but the person isn't that. That person is found to come to your existence to give you that. That job comes to your existence to give you that. It's funneled through a material thing. So yeah. So start putting the energy out and watch in the different ways that it starts to arrive.
And the other thing with that is, I just watched a video on this today with Bashar saying, everything is the here and now. It's not like you ask for something now and it starts now. Like if you pray for something, or if you request something in the universe, there might have been generations of people that have been in place that are all bringing forth to that one person that ends up delivering to you what you requested. It's already been in motion well before you've asked for it. And like recognizing that, it's not just a matter of me asking and then all the stuff needs to happen. It's me asking and recognizing that all the stuff already started happening for me to receive it as instantly as I'm willing to receive it. It does not have to be a long wait. We believe that it does because we're silly people and fragment all over the place. but truly, like, all of universe has been in motion to bring you to this moment for the next thing you're about to receive. It's just your willingness to receive it and willingness to know that you're worth it and that you're taken
Yes.
care of,
Yes.
and all that. Now, Alexander, he has a question for us. He said, so when he was in Cleveland, and this is about collaboration and co-creation in a sense, the theme of this question. So when I was in Cleveland, I tried to team up with people, and every one of those fell apart in different ways. And now I'm here in Texas, and I feel I'm supposed to be here to do it alone, hosting Wise in person. And then he says, thoughts on this, going at it alone and not collaborating. And one, it's everybody has a different stance on that. And I have a couple of shamanic thoughts and other things, but what comes to, because I think other than we don't collaborate. Well, let me just let you talk because I have to get my thoughts together too.
I think that is a tricky piece because that happens to me a lot too. It's like sometimes, you're in the flow and you try to do things and the doors close. Why are they closing? And you have to look at, I think, two, maybe three pillars there. Number one, maybe that's not where you're being called. And so sometimes we want something. We want, like, I'll give you an example of mine. I had a house many years ago that I bought, and I never moved in, and I wanted to sell it. And I'm like, why the hell is this house not selling? Damn it. I'm like putting out all the energy. And here I was in a relationship at the time, and I was doing everything. I was like, I'm like, it's not selling. It's not selling. That relationship really went sour, and I ended up needing to move out really quick. Had that house sold, I would have had nowhere to go. So trusting that the universe may have a different plan. So when you keep knocking on a door, it's this fine line of persistence versus really looking at that avenue. It may be in our heads that I want to be this, and I keep focusing on this, and I keep knocking on the doors, and the doors are not opening. Sometimes there is a plan in the background that the divine has that's saying, well, maybe Cleveland wasn't the right space for that. So if you keep knocking over and over, then back up, take a look and evaluate. Is this really what I want in my heart, or am I doing this for some other reason? Or maybe that's not the place I need to be. Because if something starts to feel really hard and you're pushing and you're grinding and it gets frustrating, then two of things have to happen. You let go, just completely let the project go. It's kind of like, when you're working on a little project and you just can't fix it, you can't figure out how the cylinder turns, just leave. I think, was it Einstein that did this, that he kept trying to solve a problem and then maybe it's a different story that I'm thinking of, but you try something over and over and over and the idea is just not coming to you. Why is this not working? When you just clear your mind, let it go, you may get the answer like, oh, this is why. Or the divine is saying, maybe that avenue is not the best place for you to be. Maybe there's a higher avenue. And I don't have all the answers for this, but these are the two or three pillars that I'm thinking of, that if you're continuing to be persistent and the doors just keep closing, then back up, reevaluate. Are you pushing too hard? Because here's the other thing we love to do. We push. We are taught to be motivated and determined, and there is a space for that. But I do, as I go along, I think it's more of, like Hank, you talk about shooting the arrow and letting it go. And letting it come to you. Now, that doesn't mean you sit on your couch and you just, you do have to still take actions and be in the receptive mode, but putting it out there and letting it go. And it may take a month. It may take 3 months. It may take 6 months. I've had things arrive a year later. So sometimes just letting it go and seeing what comes versus pushing, because the more you push with a push energy, sometimes the more you push something away, it can't come in because there's too much there's too much angst. I hope that kind of there's a little bit of that.
The one thing that came to me shamanically is we believe that when you're called to an area, it's like the nature spirits at that place that are calling you, because there's some quality that you need from the nature spirits and things like that. So maybe Texas is just the nature spirits where you need to be. And the thought of Christ, where he goes to his hometown, and in his hometown he could do none of those things. And if you've lived somewhere in your life, and this probably affects me, I've noticed that when I teach a class in New York, I have way more people. If I go do a expo in Buffalo, I am booked the entire show before and after with events. And then here it's like not even it's different. And so like part of it is everybody who knows you here, they knew you when you weren't a healer, and you weren't as known and things like that. And when you're in your hometown, sometimes it's a little bit harder to break the mold of who they knew you to be before you learned who you are, and they're fragmenting you, and then you just can't hold the same energy. Another part of it is how many people, when they collaborate, are not truly collaborating to create more. So, and I've had many collaborations. I've helped many people kind of launch into this work, and then kind of felt dropped in a sense. And so, is there really like a space on both sides to put into the relationship more than you take out? I read this thing on boundaries the other day where they actually said that their idea of a relationship is they need to get more than they give, or it needs to be exactly equal. And like relationships cannot be transactional. Transactional, I forget the name in Quechua, is like I give you this dollar, you give me this thing, and our business is done. Aini is a constant flow of energy. It is a dance with your fellow traveler in creation. And if you aren't dancing, if someone's trying to pull more than they're putting in, and not to you, it's the collaboration that becomes its own thing. When Dr. K and I come on to do these streams, I'm not like, oh man, I want to get Dr. K's people from her page so they come over to see me. No, like we know that there's a greater thing when we come together and create like this. And in my experience, having hosted a lot of people, there's very few people where I actually experience this greaterness when I do a collaboration. A lot of times you get into it and like right before the class is about to go or something else, you really realize that they haven't marketed it once, they haven't done this, they haven't done that. You've done everything, and then the class flops. Why? Because we weren't in Einie with the collaboration, and then it flopped. So just from my own experience, that might be part of it. But everybody, when they see you doing really well, they all want to do it, but they're not really wanting for the greaterness. Like when you're looking at your initial question about doing it for the greater community, they're more for the self than the community. They're conquering lying instead of the communal serpent, which are two total different philosophies of how to be in the world. So contextually, they know they want to be this other thing, but because of the programming of our culture, we're like really stuck in the idea that no, it's about the individual, and I need to conquer, and I need to take more than I, etc. Because that's, you step on people to get success. But
Yeah.
like a lot of the people in this collaborative space where it is about the greater whole, where there's just this conflict of the communal serpent and the conquering lion going and there's a fight for it, where what really needs to happen is a space where we can both be how we are, and how do we dance despite that, because their collaboration is still possible, but the space being held can't have any judgment around it. There's a whole things that need to happen, and I don't know if I have that magic recipe yet, but I'm working on it, because a lot of the greatness is going to come when the communal serpent and the conquering lion can be like, "Yo, let's get married instead of fighting," and we can both be us, and we can actually work together with our strengths and create something amazing instead of making one or the other wrong. And ages, like in the Quechua tradition, it goes like every once in a while there's more communal serpent and it conquers the lion, and then the lion has more energy and it conquers. It's like two waves coming together, whichever has the most energy wins. And it's now more like, how do we really merge them and become a new creature? And that would be in the Kara tradition, like when we have the next golden age, when we can figure that out and we can marry those two, it will be a lot different. And he says this makes so much sense.
I think that's coming, and I hope that's coming. We live so much into what can I get? What can I
Yeah.
get? What's in it for me? Horrible competition. Like the competitiveness for money is yeah, it's a lot out there. I see a lot of coaches with a lot of desperation. I feel that energy, and you don't have to be. There's plenty to go around. There's plenty of resonance with each person. So, and a lot of coercion. We lie to get what we want. That's what we've been taught. Don't do that. Just be the authentic self. But I see a lot of that too, of trying to maneuver, manipulate, being something that you're not to get what you want out of desperation. So there's a lot of that. I hope we are heading more into an era of more collaboration and not so much fighting over things
It would
and
be nice. Now I know you
create.
said you had to be on your way. First, he actually has to go too, so he's like has perfect timing, knowing like Dr. K had to be off by a certain time today. But thank you for tuning in. And he says, "Bless you both. Really appreciate
Bless you
y'all
too.
being for service." That was from my friend Alexander, and I think you probably met him a
I don't
time or
know.
two. Anyway,
I
but
know who he is though. I know him on Instagram.
yeah, that's where he was watching. He was watching on Instagram. Any final? Because I know we got to hop off here. Closing
Another
thoughts.
5 minutes. A very quiet crowd today. People watching, but nobody's saying anything.
Yeah, we got Magic Mike. He's
Secret
talking.
money.
Messenger someone. But
Secret
sometimes
money.
Magic Mike stuff, if I like read it after we're talking about it, I have no hope in deciphering what it actually means. Yeah, I don't know what any of this is. So, but that's okay. But Magic Mike, thank you for tuning in. We appreciate your energetic contribution and everything. And we had people hopping in and out of Instagram. So thanks for that. Last call for a real quick question, because I think you said 11:50. You have to be
I
gone.
have a few minutes, yeah. So
A
long
few
as
minutes.
I'm done by about 12:50 or 11:55, we're fine.
Okay.
But yeah,
Oh, so we got a little time.
open your minds, because we get very, very fixated. And what did we talk about? What do we always talk about? Energy goes where attention, or energy flows where attention goes, our favorite line that I can never get right. But the more you fixate, you create a thought form around that. That thought form gets bigger and bigger. It feels heavier and heavier. So when you're always like, I don't have enough. I don't have enough. I don't have this. To go back, start. I have plenty of tools I give clients to redirect the value and open your mind, going, holy crap, I didn't realize I actually have plenty, or I have way more than I thought I have, or um, I have way more abundance than anything. But society teaches us so many different things around money that it has really skewed and screwed up our brains. And if we can repattern that and really getting into the beliefs, because a lot of it does come from childhood, and parents that always said, we don't have enough money for that, so you don't get that.
Yep.
And
Yeah,
that's the belief system.
and we also get stuck with this one a lot, where like you have some food on your plate, right? And how many people have been told, well, there's starving people in China or wherever. And so like you're in a way you're taught like there's other people who need it more, so don't ask for more. Like like you're worth it, and there's abundance. There is one of the illusions that Conversations that God talks about in communion with God is that there's enough, like insufficiency exists. That's an illusion. There is enough. There is enough.
There
So
is
but
more
but
than
if you
enough.
buy into the idea that there isn't, then what does that actually perpetuate in your reality? So it's like, what have I, to use Bashar's, I love that thing, where have you been a belief thief? Where do you need to return what you stole? And actually ask the question, what do I really know, not believe, what do I really know to be true? Because the truth is there is enough. The
Yep,
all
there's
that is all within you. There's no chance that there's not enough, other than if you deem it to be so due to a belief that you stole.
It's a matter of repatterning, opening your money container, making it bigger so more flows to you. And if you don't have what you want, then somewhere there is a little crux in your screws and knobs that is not functioning optimally. So you're thinking about things differently, and you haven't opened up your mind enough to know that there is plenty and more will flow to you. And it's tricky. It is tricky when things get embedded, because that's what we know. And then we get into this dysregulated pattern of, oh my God, the fear that something's going to happen. Have you not always been taken care of? Have you not always been taken care of and more? I probably
Yeah.
venture to say there's very few people on here that have been living on the streets in total poverty and dirt
Yep.
ever in their life. Maybe for
But
a day, but I
yeah,
don't think anybody here, and I apologize if that has happened to you, but you're probably not in that space. Are you where
yeah,
you want to be? Maybe not, but let's work more towards that, because if you're not where you want to be, then there is some sort of resistance somewhere, some sort of block in the hose that just needs a little clearing so you can get there. And there's
yep.
multiple ways to do that.
And then the real question becomes too, then, like, if you don't feel you've been taken care of, is that really the case? Or did you really have what you needed, but you were taught that that wasn't enough, and you bought into the idea that because A, B, and C did not show up in my life, I'm not taken care of. Like, I don't have the $1 million house, so that means, whatever the case is like our perspective is entrained to think that, to have an idea of what success is and what abundance is. But to go back to our opening analogy with Ramsey, where he would say like 80% of the people are living paycheck to paycheck. They have nothing to show for it. They're just a slave to the system. Where you have the Mexican fisherman that is enjoying life, having a siesta every day, playing hide and seek with his kids and enjoying everything. Like, who's really the poor one? Who's really the poor one?
And spirituality ties into this too. There's a lot of belief systems around um, Catholicism and or any religion of, if you're poor, then you are holy. And
Yeah,
that is not true. Why would God want that for you? For you to be poor. So don't accept any money. Give, give, give. If you are, there's a line in the Bible too that says that something like I forget how it goes. Poor will be taken to heaven. And so people stay poor with the anticipation that, okay, well, I'll go to heaven if I've been poor. That's not
yeah. Well,
true.
there's things, I think it was like, it's easier for someone to walk through an eye of a needle or something than to enter the kingdom of heaven if they're rich or something like that. I think I'm
Yeah, there's
remembering.
all those
There's something
sayings.
like that. And but then there's also where the woman who was really poor, she gave just a few pennies, and Christ said that this woman has actually given more than all these other people who bring chests of money, or whatever the case is. Because again, it's mindset. It's like when you're giving something, and and you don't like that person is more abundant because they're giving like truly for the sense of giving. They couldn't afford it, but they gave anyway. And that's kind of the thing. It was like you might not think it's going to happen, but believe anyway, take the actions anyway, and the universe kind of opens up. But if it's all about the money and not about the being, then it doesn't matter how much you have.
Yeah.
And that's
Give
what they're really talking
fearlessly.
about. You get caught up with the money, the greed part. There's greed and generosity, and both are two opposite gradients. If you're on the extreme of either, you're missing it. It's about being in that balance and being able to be generous when you need to be able to greedy when you need to be, and being able to balance those things. And 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 it's two sides of the same coin, really.
It is. It absolutely is. So there's so many parts and pieces around this. There's lots to talk about, right? Continuously about
Yeah.
this, and being able give fearlessly, even if you don't have, because the more
With no
you
expectation.
with no expectation, it will be returned to you. I promise. It will be returned to. Will it be tomorrow or in 5 seconds? That I don't know, but it will be returned to you in some format. Always,
Yep.
always, always, always.
And think
So
for a moment, where have you done that in your life where you gave with no expectation and it did come to fruition? Look at your own experience, because there's other times where you may have done it and you've had the expectation, but really look at, do I have examples in my life where I've already experienced this and now I can transfer that experience to receive more of it?
yeah,
Mhm.
very quiet crowd.
It
Nobody's saying.
is, but
Nobody's saying.
I know people watching. I see people on my YouTube channel. I see people on the other YouTube channel, my profile. I see people on your profile. I see people on Instagram, but they're not talking. Except
Quiet.
Alexander did. Alexander
Thank you, Alex, for saying so.
and Magic Mike. Magic Mike is talking
And thank
too.
you, Mike. Yeah. Yeah. So
Everybody,
I hope you're soaking this in. I know it's out of the box, but you have to start thinking out of the box if you're going to get bigger. If you stay in the box of your 9 to 5, it has to be this way. Life is very mundane. And maybe you're not there yet, and that's okay too. But we are trying to help people along to the other side of the greater paradise that we actually all live in. So, any last
well,
call
good.
for questions for anybody that
No,
has
they
any thoughts, questions?
Bueller, Bueller,
Bueller. Yeah.
Bueller. Yeah. Well, if you have a question, you can type it. Well, make sure you tag us wherever you type it so we see it, especially YouTube. I forget all about logging in to see YouTube comments, and I get email notifications all the time, and I never respond to them. Like once a quarter, I remember, and I go, oh yeah, I should like go see what people are saying, and I forget all the
Never
time.
replied. Bueller. Nothing. Zero.
Yep. Well,
Absolutely.
we have Judy. She said yes, it's been relevant and helpful in reframing some of my
Thank you.
experience around money. Very good. We have people. There's life out there. Great.
There's life. All
All
right,
right.
kids. Well, hope it was helpful, and we will have something else in store next time.
Yeah, we will catch you later. I'm just looking for my little outro video. Till next time. Bye, guys.
Bye.